Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and thanks for coming back for another video. Today we are going to be talking about how you can get more creative on the guitar. Because when it comes to being creative on the guitar, a lot of people think that it's either something that you're born with or that you're not. And usually if someone is making that kind of statement, the assumption is they weren't born with it. Right? They don't possess the creativity gene or whatever it is that makes other people way more creative. This is totally wrong though. There's no such thing as a creativity gene. People aren't born being creative. Creativity is more like a muscle. The people who are the most creative and the most prolific are creative and prolific because they view their creativity more like a muscle and they exercise it daily. Something common that you'll see writers talk about and great songwriters and guitar players is they will do stuff every single day. The best authors talk about you have to sit down and you have to write, even when you don't want to write. And sometimes what is born out of that is their best stuff. The best songwriters talk about you have to sit down and you have to write songs every single day. In fact, that's something that Prince was famous for. Prince would write a song every single day. And then when the record label wanted a record from him, he had a library of songs already done, just cherry pick the best ones and use those. The good news about this, though, is that if creativity is more like a muscle, something that you should exercise every day, that means that you can become more creative. That means that anybody can become more creative. All it takes is practice, just like anything else when it comes to playing guitar. So today, I'm going to give you some tips to help you build your creativity more like a muscle rather than wishing that you were born more creative. So let's back up for a second and let's think about how muscles are built. There's actually a lot that goes into it. But if you think about it, when we break it down to its most basic, fundamental things, your muscles have to be exercised, right? We have to strain our muscles and actually get them to be damaged, to tear. And then they take information from the food that you eat and information from the exercise that was done, and they use the fuel that you have to rebuild. And so the actual building of the muscle doesn't happen during exercise and it doesn't happen during eating healthy food. It happens in between. It happens in recovery from exercise, right? But that's only after you've done the exercise and you've had the food, and then your body has the information that it needs to build more muscle. Your creativity is the same way. You have to build your creativity by straining that muscle, by doing something creative, by using it. If you don't use that muscle, if you don't use your creativity, it, just like a muscle, atrophies. It gets weaker, it gets smaller, and then you're not as creative. So, number one, you need to exercise your creativity muscle every day. That means you need to do something creative every single day. And it doesn't have to be huge, okay? But you should do something creative every day. And this will help you practice being creative. Rather than sitting around waiting for inspiration to strike like a bolt of lightning, if you practice pushing yourself to be creative every day, it's going to be easier to be creative. It's going to be easier to come up with things off the top of your head. It's going to be easier to come up with stuff that you think sounds really good and that other people enjoy listening to. But that comes from doing it consistently, even on the days when you don't feel it, even on the days when inspiration doesn't strike, even on the days when you're unmotivated and uninspired. If you push yourself to spend a few minutes being creative every day, being creative is going to come a whole lot easier. On top of exercising your creativity muscle, you also need to feed it. So here's how you feed your creativity muscle. You have to listen to inspiring, creative music, okay? And so what I recommend is listening to the music that inspired you in the first place when you started playing guitar or started writing songs. Whatever put you in the mood to learn and to be creative and to do it back when you began, that's always great to turn to. But on top of that, seek out new music. Sometimes I'll hop on iTunes and just hop on a playlist of new songs and just let it play and discover new things, which is hard because I'm at that age where I just want to listen to the stuff I listened to back in high school and right after high school, right? I don't need new music. I'm getting old that way, but it's still really fun to discover new creative music, and it inspires me to be more creative that way too. Another really great way that you can do that, and I know right now because we're dealing with a pandemic and all that bullcrap, right? But another thing that you can do when it's available is go see live music. There's nothing better and more inspiring than seeing creative people live. So if you can, go do that. Go to concerts, go to open mic nights, go to something where you can witness other people being creative and performing and doing that live in person. It's the best thing. So we exercise our muscle by doing something creative every day. We feed it by looking for inspiration and listening to creative music every day, right? This will help as well. And then in between those things, as you're recovering from using your muscles of being creative, from feeding it good creative stuff and ideas, in between that, when you're recovering, that's when creativity muscle grows, just like your real muscles, okay? So this is a good thing because creativity being more like a muscle puts it in your control to become more creative. It's something that you can determine if you are more creative or if you're not. Okay, it's within your control. You have the ability to decide. Now, here's a couple quick ideas that you can do. I would challenge yourself to do either one of these things. One, every single day, improvise at the guitar. Okay, so that could mean a couple different things. That could mean taking chords that you know, and you could just sit here with chords and just make it up. Just try to come up with some cool sounding chord progressions. See what happens. And you can just goof off with it. See what comes out. Or what you could do is you could improvise using scales and arpeggios and single notes, more like guitar solos, right? Right? You can do whatever, but spend some time every day improvising. So you could turn on some of your favorite songs and just improvise a solo over the top of it. Okay. You could take some of your own songs and just improvise a solo over the top of it. You could use chords that you know and improvise chord progressions off the top of your head. Or you could find backing tracks. There's tons of backing tracks all over the internet. You can find backing tracks and just practice along with those too, especially if you're pushing yourself a little bit and doing things that you're not completely used to yet. Then it's kind of two birds with one stone. You're challenging yourself and you're building your creativity at the same time. One of my favorite challenges, though, is to write a song every day. If you challenge yourself to write a song every day, front to back, and that could mean a lot of things. It depends on what kind of music you're into. For me, I grew up listening to the Beatles and Green Day and Foo Fighters, and so I'm really into rock, and especially 90s and early 2000s alternative rock. That's like my bread and butter right there. So for me, when I think of writing a song, I think of writing a song with lyrics and with melody and with chords and the rhythm and everything. And so for me, writing a song in the most basic sense is having the chords and the rhythm and the timing and the structure with the lyrics and the melody all laid out. And if you challenge yourself to do something like that every single day, that's really stretching that muscle, especially on days when you feel uninspired or unmotivated. You have to just do it, and it becomes practice. And then it becomes easier to access your creativity, and you become more prolific because of that. So you can improvise every day. You can write a new song every day, and then also listen to more music and look for ways to be inspired and ideas that you can copy. Okay. This is like the unspoken secret of the music industry is everybody copies each other. Okay. There's only so many combinations of chords. There's only so many combinations of notes. There's only so many rhythms. And so what we look for are different ways to use stuff to inspire us to do it. But you look at some of the greatest music and you can clearly see influences that the Beatles had from other groups, or that Led Zeppelin had from early blues, or that, there's all sorts of stuff like that. There was one time where I was writing a song and it's in drop D. And I got to the chorus of the song and I was like, and I realized that is the chorus to Everlong by the Foo Fighters. I was like, oh crap. But so what I did is, instead of just copying it directly and just doing, I threw an extra chord on there to change it up a little bit. Of course, the melody and the lyrics and everything that I was singing were totally different, but I added another chord to the end of it. And that changed it up. But I was clearly inspired by the Foo Fighters, because Everlong is one of the greatest songs ever written. I love that song, right? So look for things that you can then use. It's okay to use an idea that you've heard somewhere else, make it your own. Don't just like copy indiscriminately, and make it, copy people's melodies and lyrics and everything. Don't do that. But you look for ideas that you're going to be inspired by, and then don't be afraid to use it and make it your own. That's what everybody has been doing for hundreds of years when it comes to songwriting. So with those three things, with improvising every day, with writing a song every day, with looking for inspirational, inspiring, creative ideas, those things are going to help you build your creativity muscle. If you exercise it every day by doing something creative every day, if you feed it with good creative ideas, that you're listening to cool creative music all the time and looking for different ideas that you can use, and then in between all that, when you're recovering, your creativity muscle will grow over time and you will become more creative. It'll be easier for you to be creative, and you're going to be more prolific and be able to come up with better and better and better ideas. So what you need to do now is you need to go start being creative and doing something every single day. I recommend at least improvising every day or writing a whole song every day. If you do that, your creativity is just going to soar over time. But remember, it's just like anything else. You have to love the process. You have to commit to the process of doing it every day, even on the days that you don't feel like it. So add that into your practice. Add that into what you're doing every day on guitar. Start being more creative every day, and I promise you that's going to help you. That's it today, guys. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful for you, do leave a comment down below, and thanks for liking and subscribing. But I do have a free gift for you at my website. If you go to simpleguitar.com/top10, there you can get my free guide, The Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. It's a 17-page guide. It's got 10 things that I teach beginner guitar players all the time to get you the most bang for your buck when you're playing, so that you can start making more real music right off the bat as fast as possible. So go download that guide, have fun with it, go be creative every day, go work that creativity muscle, have fun with it, and I will catch you guys in the next video.